The latest updates pertaining to Sean Puffy Combs, day two, jury selection, a PE teacher, actor, and an HBO staffer has been chosen. I believe the defense had a problem with the HBO staffer because there was a documentary made by partnering companies with HBO that were negative documentary made, and I think they had a problem with an HBO staffer. But my thing is, just because somebody works for HBO doesn't mean they have anything to do with a documentary made about Sean Puffy Combs or anybody else. But when I get information to what that person's position is at HBO, I'll bring you that said information. And also, the latest notification I got pertaining to the shenanigans is that they're trying to secure testimony. I can't remember which side it was, but one of the alleged victims. So maybe somebody is backing out of wanting to testify. So I'll put that in another short. Thank you for following this network. Yes, I put up a lot of questions day before yesterday pertaining to breaking news and, basically a lot of hypothetical situations, kind of like, what would you do? So take those posts because they're all in good fun, nothing serious. So I'm sure a lot of people are like, why are you asking all these questions? Because I can. I'm queen. So I ask questions about relationships, breaking news. I ask questions about everything. This is not a one-stop network. I talk about different things on this network. Let's get down to business. This case is coming out of Texas. This young lady here that you're looking at is from the UK. She was a British student, nursing student studying nursing. She was 2 weeks out from graduating from nursing school. And her last post was about 5 days before her death, where she was saying she was, looking forward to graduating and becoming a nurse. Sadly, she was unalived by her own roommate, an older man, 40 years of age, Chester Grant. Why he killed this lady is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. That's the reason why I put it under Your Crazy America. I've not done a Your Crazy America segment in a while, so forgive me, because just about every damn story I talk about is crazy that I could put under the headline. But this one's crazy because it's over a cat. What was said? I don't know. How long were they having problems? I don't know. What else did they disagree about? I don't know. How long were they roommates? I don't know. Why was she rooming with an older man and a man? And she's younger than him? I don't know. Did they have some type of entanglement? I don't know. But let's get down to business. Welcome to the Vault Excel, everybody. Thank you for joining me.
Shocking new details in the stabbing death of a British nursing student on Houston's South Side. Elizabeth O'Dunsey was killed just over a week ago.
And now that student's roommate, 40-year-old Chester Grant, is charged in her murder. He's being held on a $500,000 bond at the Harris County Jail.
Orko Manna joins us live from there. Orko, you've been covering this case for days. You're now learning just how violent the stabbing was.
Yeah, Mia, we've learned that Grant is accused of stabbing O'Dunsey more than 24 times inside their apartment over an argument about his cat. Now O'Dunsey's family is hoping to move her body back to the UK.
I'm about to graduate and I really wish I had this during nursing.
She often posted videos like this on her popular TikTok page, detailing her time in nursing school after from the UK. This video of her dancing, mentioning being 2 weeks out from graduation, is the last post she made. It was uploaded just 5 days before O'Dunsey's life was cut short. Houston police say O'Dunsey was stabbed to death on April 26th inside her apartment on Goforth Street by her roommate, 40-year-old Chester Grant. Homicide detectives tell me the killing stemmed from an argument about his cat from days earlier.
Mr.
Grant, now charged with murdering O'Dunsey, appearing in probable cause court this weekend.
The allegations in this case allege he stabbed his female roommate 28 times, killing her.
Wow.
Over some disagreement over his cat.
28.
So this is an allegedly extremely brutal murder with an extensive history of violence, which I find to be an extreme danger to the community.
A bandage seen on Grant's neck. Police tell me Grant tried taking his own life after...
Let's go back to what that judge said. Hold on.
Grant
violence, which I find to be an extremely brutal murder with an extensive history of violence,
Wow.
which I find to be an extreme danger to the community.
Wonder did she know
A
that?
bandage seen on Grant's neck. Police tell me Grant tried taking his own life after killing Adunzi, stabbing himself at least 6 times, including in the neck. The judge also saying Grant has had multiple arrests and convictions for violence from out of state. Adunzi's loved ones creating this GoFundMe page saying, quote, she moved from the UK to the United States to pursue her dream of becoming a nurse, dedicating herself to a life of care and service, and that their, quote, goal is to bring Tammy home from the United States to the UK so she can be laid to rest surrounded by her family and loved ones.
Wow.
Yeah, just heartbreaking for that family.
Very heartbreaking.
Grant was scheduled to be in court today, but he did not appear because he's still waiting for a court-appointed attorney. Reporting live from the Harris County Jail this afternoon, Orca Amanda, KHOU.
All right, we'll stop there so it'll stop. Okay, let's get a good look at this food. Chester Grant, 40 years of age, stabbed this female roommate, nursing student from the UK, 28 times. And you know that when a person is stabbed multiple times, especially when you start talking about these high numbers here, a high number, 28, sometimes the coroner can't, the medical examiner, they can't even, ascertain how many stab marks, because naturally they've got to mark them, and it's even just macabre thinking of the medical examiner having to sit there and mark each wound to tally up a number. So let's get to the basics of this debacle and heinous crime. How long had they known each other? Where did they meet? How did they become roommates? Were they dating, sexually entangled? Why was she living with an older man? Because this to me is very bizarre. A young lady in nursing school would take up with an older man as a roommate. And as most of you know, it's very expensive now to live out here. So I get it why a young person, college student, would have a roommate. Many of us had roommates as college students. Then you're trying to work, pay bills, car notes, things like that. I get it. But what is odd to me is that he was 40 years of age. Don't have an exact number of her age. But why were they rooming? Where did they meet? How long did they know each other? How long were they roommates? He has an extensive criminal background for violence, as you heard mentioned here by the judge. He's on a very high bond, probably won't make it out of jail until trial. And all of this was over his cat. So what was the cat doing? Was he not emptying the litter box? Was the cat chewing and gnawing on valuables in the house, things that belong to her, such as shoes, clothes, furniture, jumping on the stove, countertops, which everybody knows cats jump on things and they leave behind dander. I'm not an animal person. I had a cat many years ago. I grew up around dogs. Had a dog as a small child, and then my grandparents had dogs here in Tennessee. But I never took to animals per se. And as I said, animals leave behind hair, urine, fecal matter, because they're animals. So what was the issue with the cat? This is so ridiculous to me. The things that people don't do to get themselves in these type of situations. This is why I put up a short pertaining to this case here. Why I don't recommend rooming with anyone. I don't care if you have to pay for a one room. You do what you have to do, but I don't recommend getting a roommate for bullshit like this. This old ass man with a damn cat, probably wasn't even taking care of the damn cat. Don't know what he did for a living. What type of job did he have? That wasn't mentioned. The fact that he had an extensive record, did this young lady know that he had a criminal record? That's what I'm saying. What was really the issue? What type of relationship did these two have? Because this is very interesting to the point. Very interesting. And it's not saying that a man and woman can't live together and there not have been anything sexual, but people are going to ask because that's what we do. We're humans. What was really going on between these two? What was the cat doing that she didn't like? And as they said in this commentary, days before They had a disagreement. So what? He just looked at her on that fateful day and just said, I'm going to stab her because she said this and this to me about my cat. I'm surprised that he even spoke to authorities, because how do they know that it was over the cat? He had to have said something in interrogation or the arrest for them to know it was over a cat. Shut your mouth. So guess what? We have a young woman dead who won't be graduating from nursing school. Parents, family have to ship her body back to the UK, which is very expensive, shipping bodies across the United States, let alone out of the country. They've raised quite a bit of money. I think there was about $62,000. So they've got a nice lump sum of money to ship her back to the UK. Once again, prayers, condolences to the family, friends, school. Who's got the cat? How about that? Wow. Two grown people arguing about a cat. Probably, cat was getting into things. Perhaps he wasn't cleaning up after the cat. That's one thing we've learned with people who have pets. They always saying they love their animals, but we've seen how people treat their animals and how they don't take care of them. They don't keep their house clean. They don't walk their dogs. There's dog poop everywhere, cat poop, litter box. Who's to say the cat wasn't pissing and shitting around the apartment? I don't know. Just throwing it out there, just using common sense and logic. It had to be something. But was it worth killing her over? That's the point. Of course not. Because in the end, one of you could have decided, hey, it's time to buck up and get the hell out of here. Well, she didn't get that opportunity because he snuffed her out. He stabbed her 28 times. That's a lot of times, Mr. Grant, to stab a human being over a disagreement about your cat. So guess what? You killed this young girl. Your cat is somewhere, probably at the pound. And let me tell you something about that. They will put the cat down for no reason. Come on with it, Queen. So you're now locked up without your cat. Checkmate. And now you're going to probably die in prison over a cat. Sometimes you have to really word things to show you how stupid humans can be. And I get it. People can pop off. I had somebody trying to respond to me on a Facebook post. This young black girl just killed her boyfriend this week or over the weekend. And one guy saying the guy was gay, and then, everybody's arguing in the comments. I'm not going to argue about no girl, 21 years old, 20 years old, killing her boyfriend because she found out he cheated on her. It don't matter if it was with a man or woman. The point is, you lied in wait for him to come home and then you shot him. So it's premeditated. And as I said, what is there to argue about? Everybody's got their opinion. Some people think it was wrong. Some people think, well, it's a crime of passion. Well, he should have been cheating on her. Blah, blah, blah. Everything's about perception, just like this situation here. There's always going to be somebody that's, how do we know what she said to him and da-da-da-da-da. See, everything's about perception and if you like the person or not. And naturally, somebody liked her and somebody likes him. It's just the way it is. But the point is, the cat is gone. So who got the cat? Yeah, I'm going to say that because that's what this was about, a cat. A cat that can't talk, can't tell nobody nothing. This is ridiculous. We all have got to get self-control. And I get it. We all have bad days. We have days where we rant, we complain, we moan. We get frustrated, we get aggravated. Maybe somebody suffering from some type of mental issue, PTSD, bipolar, autism, because that's all I hear every day. The same old, she got this, he got this. Okay, so someone had this and that. Should it have led to murder over a cat? That's my point. And I get it. I've had issues with people about their pets, walking, letting the dog shit by the door and by the stair landing where you got to walk towards your car, bullshit. And I get it because I've been pissed off. Let's just say Queen can get real crunk, and I'm going to leave it at that. But do I want to catch a murder charge? That's what I have to tell myself. And that's what others need to tell themselves. How far am I to bitch at this person about their dog, their cat? Because I get it. People walk their dogs, they let them shit in people's yards. And that's enough to get upset because people don't understand. Some people don't want dog shit near their tree, near their lawn, that's their right. That's their property. And that's the flip side of having an animal. It's a dog. A dog has to be able to use the bathroom somewhere, preferably not inside. So you got to walk that dog outside, and he's got to boo-boo somewhere. And then by law, in certain states, you're supposed to poop or scoop. But we know that most people do not pick up and boo-boo. They just ain't going to do it. They just ain't going to do it. And that's where we have the problem. Pooper scooper. Perhaps that was an issue here. Cat was not using the restroom in the box. I don't know. Maybe he was clawing on things, he or she, chewing up on the furniture, which that's what cats do. They scratch. They turn off. That's why I don't care for animals. I don't want a pet. I don't want nothing turn up, nothing. You know what I'm saying? Hell, you can barely deal with a human, let alone an animal. I don't really want to deal with neither one, but that's just quaint. I don't want to do nothing extra. That's just who I am. 54 years of age, I don't want to contend with nothing extra clean up. That's just me. And as I said, a lot of people have pets. They don't do right by their pets. But as I said, they're the same ones that's always crying, oh, I love animals. I love animals. But they don't take care of their animals. And you've seen this with all these shows about hoarding, house full of dirt, filth, animals all over the place and pissing all over the place, and cats spraying everywhere, and you're not taking your cat to be neutered and everything, but you love your cat, you love your dog, but you don't treat your animal like you love them. So how did he treat the cat? I'm curious. And due to the fact that he has an extensive violent history, it's strange. A violent man has a cat. That's weird to me. Usually your violent people have dogs, not a cat. But you know what I've learned, and I've said this before, I see this every day. I go into YouTube Q and I watch these videos about home makeovers, hoarding, and people that clean houses from here to the UK. People with the nastiest houses, I always got a fucking animal. Help me understand. They always got a bird, fish, lizard, cat, dog, rabbit, children. But I love animals. But that don't pay. I've noticed that. Every TV show I watch where people are going in people's houses to help them clean their houses, sort their houses, they always got pets. Help me understand. So how was their house? Was it kept clean? Was she the tidy one? He wasn't the tidy one? What was really going on in this apartment? And once again, how long were they living together? How did they meet? Were they dating, not dating? Was this an older relationship, but they just decided to remain friends? Just curious. And what I have to say to Mr. Grant, was it worth it? You obviously stabbed this young lady up 28 times. Her body is not in good shape. And now somebody's gonna have to look at that, get her ready for a funeral, shipping her across the pond from your dirty deed because of a cat disagreement, whatever you two were arguing about. This is some pathetic SHIT. But this just goes to show you people can pop off over the slightest thing. Somebody didn't clean up. Somebody didn't return a car. Somebody didn't empty the trash. Somebody drank the last Corona. Somebody ate the last chicken wing. You see where I'm going. Somebody don't like that your cat is shitting and pissing everywhere and you're not cleaning up after your cat. You're not putting litter in the box. You ain't walking your dog. You can pop off over anything. Come on. Wi-Fi ain't working. Tear the whole house up. We're getting to a point where we're losing self-control. And many of us do have issues, PTSD, OCD. These things can make us erratic and make us lose control. Some of us don't have patience, bad temperaments. And what we're hearing about this male, Mr. Grant, he has a violent history. Don't know the extent of his history, but he's done some things that weren't so nice in life. And now he has basically went out with a bang, incarcerated for stabbing his female roommate 28 times over a cat disagreement. He's forfeited his life by taking a life. And then he tried to kill himself. Let's talk about that, and then I'll check out of here. He has a bandage on his neck for what he said himself 6 times. So he likes using knives, obviously. Possibly used knives before in his other altercations. He's a knifer. So what did he use to try to stab himself into jail? Help me understand. Somebody had a shank, and how did they get that in jail? Which we know people can make them, I get that, but you understand what I'm saying. You just got there. You ain't been in there a long time. So what did he stab himself with? It's just crazy as hell. Well, it didn't work. He's alive. Because God said, no. You're not leaving here, bro. You just snuffed out a young girl who was getting ready to graduate nursing school, and you stabbed her 28 times over a damn cat. You ain't going nowhere. Excuse me, Lord. No, Lord, don't cuss. But, you're not going nowhere. You getting ready to walk this walk to trial. And you can tell 12 members of a jury why you stabbed a young lady trying to live her best life over a cat. Because in the end, that's what this is going to be about. Can you imagine going into court, arguing a case of death over a cat? We hear all types of crimes pertaining to dogs. Barking dogs, dogs pooping, boo-booing on the yard and running loose. And hey, you hear these stories every day, but not a cat. What you in here for? Oh, I killed my roommate. Why? Because she was arguing with me about my cat. I love my cat. Oh, okay. Well, sir, your cat is gone now. So you got a dead friend, you locked up and ain't gonna never get out, and your cat gone. Checkmate. Wow. You're crazy America. Chester Grant, 40 years of age, stabbed his female roommate at least 28 times over cat disagreement. She is no longer alive. She came here to the United States to study nursing. She was 2 weeks out from graduating when this horrific crime took place inside of her apartment in Houston, Texas. And Mr. Grant, this black male here, is the culprit. I believe there was a $500,000 bond. I have not heard that he made bond. And he deserves to be in there because all of this could have been avoided. And I won't doubt that these two had been arguing before pertaining to this cat. I guess he looked at her one day and decided, well, I'm not going to listen to her complain about the cat anymore. I'll just stab her up and end that argument. And indeed, the argument is over. But look at the price for not listening to her complain about a cat. She's dead. You're incarcerated, Mr. Grant. The cat is gone. And you'll never see outside again unless you have the fortunate opportunity to escape jail and or prison. You're gonna die in there. And every day you'll get to sit and think about how this situation could have been avoided. You could have moved out, got your own damn place, and you and your cat could have been happily ever after in your own shit. I said that because a 40-year-old ain't got no business living with some 20-something-year-old woman no damn way. She was better off rooming with somebody her own age. It's not to say that that person couldn't have had a cat and we'd still be in this damn situation, but you get my drift. I don't recommend rooming with nobody because we're all set in our ways. We like things a certain way. One day we're up, one day we're down, one day we want to be, bubbly. The next day we don't want to talk, we don't want no noise. That is your preference. That is your right as a citizen, as a human. And this is why I don't recommend rooming with people. I don't care what the age is. You see these stories all the time of people falling out over the stupidest stuff. Somebody didn't wash the clothes. Somebody left the clothes in the washing machine. Somebody left the clothes in the dryer. Somebody didn't fold the clothes. Somebody drank up the last soda pop. People die over foolish shit every day. And this case is no different. She's gone. She came to the United States to better herself, her circumstances, and now she's leaving in a box. And we hear these stories all the time of people coming to America to work, go to school, they're refugees, and sadly they end up dying in America. I don't know how many stories I've heard of people coming to the United States to better themselves, and they weren't even here 3 years, they're dead. They're dead. You also hear this when people move from bigger cities to the South. How many people have moved from Detroit, Chicago, New York? They went to Georgia, Tennessee. They ended up dead because they got themselves tangled up in some nonsense, or they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. And that's the thing I've learned about life, is that sometimes we try to go places to do better, to be better, change our lifestyles, change our ways, better opportunities, and we only find ourselves in drama, jacked up situations similar to where we came from, because it's the universe. The universe isn't kind. The inhabitants aren't kind. And that's the thing about life. We have crazy people, sick people everywhere. Everybody is the same. It doesn't matter if you're from California, you're from New York, you're from here, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, everybody is evenly yoked. And everybody has a pushing point. And that's where the problem comes in. We have to get control of our disposition. Because you hear people say that all the time when someone gets murdered. Well, it could happen to you. You could pop off. You could get upset. Very true. Let's assume we won't go to that extent when we comment and say, why did you do that? Why did you do that? You should have walked away. You should have moved out, blah, blah, blah. But it's true. You can get pushed. Of course you can. But I also know that certain situations I'm not going to be in. It's not to say I couldn't go out here right now, walk outside to the stoplight and get mowed down or get stabbed. But when it comes to a situation like this and Mr. Grant, that ain't going to be Queen. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because Queen ain't getting ready to live in no apartment with a roommate. If I die, it won't be because of a cat. That's what I'm trying to say. It won't be over a cat, because I'm not getting ready, one, have a roommate. Two, I'm not getting ready to live in a house with a cat. I ain't getting ready to live in a house with a dog. Now, I don't have control if my neighbor has a dog. That's a whole other situation. But you understand what I'm saying. There's certain situations we can put ourselves in and we don't get out of it, it exacerbates. And I believe that's what happened here. It's no telling how long these two were bickering about the cat. And then one day he looked at her and he just pulled out a knife and started stabbing her. And then she died. And now he's incarcerated. Because he stewed over this argument. They said it was days later. He didn't kill her in the moment of the disagreement. He stewed over it, and that's even more dangerous. Because he's walking by her, saying stuff to her, plotting. Wasn't even a heated stabbed her because she said something about the cat. He stewed over it. And that's even more scary. Because she's walking in and out of this house thinking she's getting ready to graduate in 2 weeks, live her best life, go out in the world, help. And he's stewing over a cat, ready to pounce. And the fact that he stabbed her 28 times tells you he is off his rocker. He is demented. And sadly, he was going to be in this situation whether it was this nursing student or not. Because you don't wake up one day and plot stabbing someone 28 times unless you have some serious shit going on with you. And the fact that it was said in court, he has an extensive violent history, it was only a matter of time that it was going to be somebody. And that's what a lot of people don't seem to understand about true crime. The parents, the family are saying, why my child? Why my child? It was going to be somebody's child. That's what you need to understand. If not the nursing student, it was going to be somebody else over something just as petty. Because there's something wrong with Mr. Grant and his mode of thinking. He does not know how to handle stress and disagreements. He has to act it out physically by fist, hand, weapon. And that's what's so sad about the world. That a lot of people are just 1 minute from popping off. And it's going to be somebody. It's not going to even really matter who the person is. Because in their eye, that person is the enemy at that time. So if it wasn't this lady, it could have been somebody at Walmart, Costco, road rage, anybody. That's my commentary. Prayers and condolences for this young lady. Hopefully she is shipped back to the UK safely. The family should have enough money by now to pay for shipping costs to get her home safely and have a funeral for her. Prayers to her friends, family, those who met her on her journey here in the United States and abroad. And as for Mr. Grant, I don't really give a fuck about him because all this could have been avoided. Because like I said, a 40-year-old man didn't have any business living with a kid anyway and stewing over a damn cat. That's just my opinion. Too old for that. This is nonsense. Like I said, I don't know what really went on between these two, emotionally, physically, but there's something strange about this young lady living with an older man in the first place. And the fact that he had an extensive violent record, don't know if she knew about it or not, but if she didn't, she had to learn the hard way, sadly. Sacrificial lamb. Like, share, subscribe. Drop your comments below this video. Take the polls on my community page. I got a few shorts up pertaining to this story. I'm going to bring you the latest information pertaining to Sean Puffy Combs, day 2 of jury selection. PE teacher, actor, HBO staffer have been chosen. Pertaining to jury members, all-woman prosecution team, will that be a factor? How many women are going to be chosen? What are the races going to be? How many men are going to be chosen? Will it matter? And will there be some sympathetic jurors? We'll talk about it later. That's the latest, everybody. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $DeGangie, 129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are welcome during the live stream. I got a fan that's in town that watches the network, Miss Sue Lawson. She is here in East Tennessee. And she and I will be meeting this week. And I will go live with the meeting of one of the fans. And I want to thank her for wanting to meet with the Queen. And I pray that she has a safe trip while here in East Tennessee. And I will show you that content on the network this week when we meet so people can get a view of Miss Sue if she wants to be filmed. If not, I won't film her. But just sharing that with the viewing audience. And once again, on Friday, I will be having the biopsy done for my thyroid. So let's pray that everything works out okay in my favor. And God bless all of you on your journey this week. I do have a movie selection up. It's a little bit of a low rent kind of movie. Once I kind of watched it, I thought, I don't know if the fans will like this movie or not. But it's called The Mothman. So I might put up another suggestion for those who are not into like horror movies. But thank you all so much for following me. Follow me on the Newsbreak app. Check out my shorts, my extensive library of videos. And I'll be back with more stimulating content and commentary. Once again, prayers for this young lady who is no longer alive, unalived by her own roommate, Chester Grant, 40, Houston, Texas. And I'm going to stir around today. Enjoy this weather, 70 plus degrees today, a little bit better. And I hear that the ambulance or fire truck is outside, and that's a daily occurrence. So I'm going to look out the window and see what the hell's going on now, because there's always something where I live. Lord Jesus. Thank you all so much for following me. I really appreciate it. And you all have a wonderful week. Please be safe. And to the young people, my advice to you, be careful getting a roommate. I've heard very horrible stories besides this one of things going awry with people who get roommates. And sadly, there have been many people, even people probably older than this young lady here, who have lost their lives to altercations and violence with their roommate. So just need to be careful out here, because in the end, it's like any situation, you don't know people. So it doesn't matter where you meet them, what the situation is, if it's dating, if it's a roommate situation, you live in the same apartment building, things can go awry very fast. So you need to be very careful where you sleep and who you're sleeping with and roommate type situations, because in the end, as I said, you don't know people. And sadly, this young lady lost her life viciously over a cat disagreement. That's my commentary. Thank you for your time. You have been listening to The Fault Excel.